People keep telling you that you come across as intimidating, though you're not trying to be. If you're someone who recharges alone, you've probably heard this more than once. Distant, serious, hard to read. But here's what rarely gets said. There's real psychological science behind why this keeps happening. Think about a time you were in a group where someone wasn't shouting, wasn't posturing, wasn't even trying to be noticed. And yet, somehow, everyone around them seemed more guarded. That person likely had no clue they were having that effect. They almost never do. If that feels familiar, this breakdown will help you understand something that many people go years without being able to name. Because introverts don't set out to make others nervous. It just happens as a side effect of how they move through the world. Here are 7 clues that you might be one of them. Sign 1, you're fine with quiet, but everyone else finds it unbearable. For most people, silence feels like a void that must be filled instantly. It's not that they have urgent news, it's that emptiness in a conversation reads like something broke. A study in psychological science found that even a short pause, just a few seconds, triggers a measurable spike in anxiety, and people rush to patch it, often blurting out things they never meant to say. You don't share that impulse. You can stay quiet because you're actually thinking. To you, silence is useful. To the other person, it feels like waiting for a verdict. They don't know the outcome yet. And suddenly, you're cold or intense simply for not performing conversation on cue. Sign 2. You refuse to get pulled into drama, and that feels dangerous to others. In many social circles, there's a hidden rule: the louder your feelings, the more people trust you. If something upsets you, you show it. If someone crosses a line, you make sure everyone knows. Drama isn't just chaos. It's how people prove they're emotionally transparent, predictable, and safe. When you don't play along, not because you lack emotions, but because you prefer to think before reacting, people get confused. They can't push your buttons. They can't shame you into changing. And someone they can't predict or pressure makes them uneasy, even if you've done nothing wrong. One professional learned this firsthand. A colleague decided she was dull because she wouldn't maintain shallow chatter. They prodded. She didn't give the reaction they wanted. So she said 5 simple words that ended it completely. I'm here to work, not perform. Not harsh, not loud. Just someone who didn't need that person's validation. And the colleague had no idea how to respond. You're not too much, they're just not enough. Sign 3. You ask meaningful questions instead of going through the motions. When someone says, "How are you?" the automatic reply is good. No one really means it. No one wants the honest answer. Small talk isn't about bonding. It's a social handshake that signals, I'm harmless, I won't go deep. You skip past that. Not to be rude, but because your mind naturally wants real substance. So you ask one question the other person didn't expect. Their energy changes. Their answer becomes careful. Later, they'll tell someone you're a bit intense. You were just curious. But to them, it felt like being put on the spot. Research on introvert cognition shows that people who lean inward process information through longer, more complex neural pathways. They absorb more before speaking. What looks like hesitation is actually depth. And when that depth surfaces as a question that cuts through small talk, the other person feels exposed before they understand why. It's not curiosity to them. It's being seen before they were ready. Sign 4. You keep your emotions steady, and others misread that as not caring. This one stings because the truth is almost the opposite of what people assume. You feel things, maybe more than most, but you've learned that letting emotions explode in a tense moment usually makes everything worse. So you stay grounded. You respond from a thoughtful place, not a reactive one. You don't match someone's heat just because they're escalating. And here's where it breaks down. Therapists who study introvert-extrovert dynamics have found a repeating pattern. The introvert stays logical. The extrovert reads that calm as they don't care. Then the conversation falls apart, not over the original issue, but because one person needed emotional mirroring and the other didn't provide it. In that moment, your steadiness looks like coldness. Your composure looks like disdain. The very trait you worked to build, staying level under pressure, gets interpreted as indifference by someone who wanted you to match their chaos. You're not detached. You're just not faking distress to make someone else feel less alone in theirs. Sign 5. You observe people carefully before speaking, and they can sense it. Before you say a word, you've already picked up on things most people miss. The tiny pause before an answer. The shift in posture. What was said carefully versus what slipped out without thinking. You're not doing this on purpose. Your mind just naturally takes in the whole scene before responding to any piece of it. Dr. Jennifer Kahnweiler, who studies introverted leadership, calls this one of the most underrated social skills, being able to read a room without needing to dominate it. But here's what happens on the other side. Humans are wired to notice when someone is watching closely. And we automatically assume it means we're being judged. So even when you're just genuinely paying attention, the other person feels like they're under a microscope. They get uncomfortable. They call you unnerving. What they really mean is, you saw something I wasn't ready to show. You don't have a personality flaw. You have a presence they can't control. Sign 6. You maintain a strong filter, and people can tell they haven't passed it yet. Introverts don't let everyone in, not because they feel superior, but because real connection costs energy. And they'd rather spend that energy on people who truly matter. So they watch before they open up. They wait before they trust. They don't hand out warmth like free samples. Most people sense that filter within the first few minutes, and how they react tells you everything. Some respect it, they understand trust is earned, and that's fine. Others feel it as rejection and quietly decide you think you're above them. Psychologist Ana Maria Mendoza found that strong personal boundaries, held naturally without apology, can come across as arrogance to people who've never had to earn someone's respect before. But what they're actually detecting isn't arrogance, it's discernment. The quiet confidence of someone who knows their own worth and won't grant unlimited access just to make others comfortable. And here's what makes this different from everything before it. Every prior sign was about something you do or don't do. This last one isn't about behavior at all. It's about something you simply don't need. And for many people, that's the most unsettling thing they've ever encountered. Sign 7. You don't crave their approval. And nothing unnerves people more than that. This one runs deepest. Most social exchanges run on invisible currency. You validate me, I validate you. Approval becomes power. Whoever can give it or withhold it holds quiet control over everyone who wants it. You don't play that game. You don't need the room to like you in order to feel fine being in it. You can sit alone with your thoughts and genuinely feel content, not performing contentment, actually experiencing it. To someone whose self-worth depends on outside praise, that is threatening. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because the usual tactics don't work on you. Social pressure. Subtle disapproval. The expectation that you'll shrink to fit in. None of it lands. Clinical psychologist Carla Marie Manley notes that the people we find most intimidating are often the ones who expose our own insecurities, the fear that we don't measure up to someone who seems completely self-sufficient. You're not trying to trigger that. You're just not performing neediness. But in a world where nearly everyone does, the absence alone makes people uncomfortable. Here's what almost no one tells you. Being called intimidating isn't a compliment or an insult. It's what happens when someone meets a person they can't control, can't predict, and can't read, and they lack the self-awareness to realize that's their issue, not yours. You're not cold. You're not broken. You just don't perform for people. And in a world where almost everyone does, that alone makes you rare. There's an old saying, watch out for the quiet ones. Most people say it like a warning. Maybe it's just the truth. The people who found you intimidating weren't reacting to a flaw. They were reacting to someone who didn't need them. The right people figure that out, and they stay anyway. Which of these signs hit closest to home? Drop it in the comments. And if someone in your life has never understood why people call them intimidating, send them this video. Sometimes just hearing it explained changes everything. If this resonated, hit like, and thanks for being part of Psychology Insights.